What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So now we know that President Biden is calling out Republicans, saying that it is because of them we almost were in a government shutdown. It was because of Republicans. President Biden is saying that Ukraine didn't get the funding that they deserve. And it's because of Republicans we have all this mess. Now, I want to be very clear on one thing. It is because of Congress. It is because of the people that we decided to vote into office that we now have this mess. Now, I want to address what's going on here. But before I do, all I ask is if you enjoy these daily updates and you appreciate the time and effort that I put into them, can you do me a favor? Go ahead, hit that like button. Also, click that subscribe button so you never miss an update. And let's get right down to it. So look at this. It says President Biden says there's not much time to keep aid flowing to Ukraine and Congress must stop the games. But at the same time, he is saying that Congress must stop the games. He admits that Congress told him in the past to stop playing games. Stop the politics. Do what you were elected to do. Well, here's what he wants. He wants money to go to Ukraine because that is what President Biden has promised. He has promised Ukraine he or the American people will continue to fund this war. Now, obviously, Ukraine is the one that's defending itself, not instigating the war with Russia, but that's part of the problem. If nobody helps out Ukraine, how long is Ukraine going to be able to withstand this pressure? Well, we don't know. The one kind of issue that we have there is if Ukraine can't withstand the pressure and Russia takes over Ukraine or a large portion of the country, would they stop there or would they continue going? Well, we don't know. But President Biden, he is now pressing Speaker Kevin McCarthy to deliver Ukraine aid that was omitted in the government funding bill, or this temporary stopgap bill that will last 45 days or until November 17th. Well, here's the reason why I bring this up. Because of this right here. This article says Biden, sick and tired of brinksmanship after Congress narrowly avoids a shutdown. This is something that we see all the time. And I bring this up because lawmakers are pushing for additional relief to Social Security recipients. They're pushing for additional relief to those with student loan debt. They want to ensure that there's affordable housing to the American people. They want to bring down inflation. They are trying to ensure that the interest rates don't go sky high, which they kind of already are. But all this is happening because of one thing. If you are on the verge of a crisis, you are more likely to act. If you're on the verge of a crisis, for example, let me just give you a real world example here. Let's say you are about to go bankrupt. You have absolutely no money. But at the same time, right before that final bill it comes due, you decide to go get a job. And now you got money coming in. And now you have an income to pay for those expenses. The crisis was you were about to lose everything because you couldn't pay for it. And then the solution was you went to go get a job, but you waited until the final moment. That's what President Biden is saying here. Let me read this to you. It says, folks, the truth is we shouldn't have gotten here in the first place. It's time to end governing by crisis and keep your word when you give it in the Congress. Okay, so that's what he says. But is that what he's doing? Has President Biden kept his word? Well, when President Biden came out and said before Russia attacked Ukraine, he came out and said if Russia ends up invading Ukraine, the American people are going to pay for it. It is going to cost us more money. He's kept that promise. But when it comes to things like providing $200 per month to all Social Security recipients, has he done that? The answer is no. He hasn't done that. The White House has come out and pretty much said that, yes, Biden has provided that $200 relief, but it was in the form of cutting expenses, not increasing income. When essentially he never talked about bringing down expenses, it was all about increasing income. Remember when President Biden said he was going to give every single person a $2,000 stimulus check? Remember that when he was talking in Georgia? And then it came out that no, he wasn't giving a $2,000 stimulus check because former President Donald Trump and the Trump administration gave $600 checks. So what did the Biden administration do? They provided the extra $1,400 that, if you account for the two, equals $2,000. So is Biden math. That's part of the issue. Well, look at this. President Biden says, I'm sick and tired of the brinksmanship, and so are the American people. I've been doing this. You all pointed out to me a long time. I've never quite seen a Republican Congress or any Congress act like this. And there's a reason. What is happening is the American people, which, again, there's a lot more younger Americans that are now starting to understand what is going on. I can tell you right now, when I was 18 years old, I didn't understand much about Congress. Didn't understand a lot about politics. Now I do. Well, there's a lot more younger Americans that are on that same path. They're trying to learn, figure it out, and voting for people for a reason. Not just because they're relatives and their parents and the people that their spouse likes that person, so they're going to vote for the same person. That's not how it works these days. Well, that's part of the reason why some are saying that Congress needs to have either age limits or term limits. So that is something that more and more experts are anticipating happen sometime in 2023, actually in 2024 or 2025, is we're likely to see some proposals going to come out to provide term limits and especially age limits for our lawmakers. Because again, what some people are doing, they say it's old school techniques. It's old school. It's not going to work. Everything is changing. One of the biggest ones is AI. Artificial intelligence is going to change millions and millions of people's lives, and we need to be prepared for that. But what experts anticipate is the older lawmakers. They are not open to artificial intelligence. They know it's coming, but they want to delay it as much as possible. Now, here's what I can tell you. President Biden, he is trying to do whatever he can to fulfill his agenda, whatever that agenda may be. Is he going to provide more money to Ukraine? Possibly. Is he going to get money for Social Security? Possibly. Is he going to get more money to student loan borrowers? Possibly. But again, we just don't know. All we know is that he is trying to first get the money for Ukraine. Look at this. It says, although the Speaker and an overwhelming majority of Congress have steadfastly supported Ukraine to defend itself against the aggression and brutality of the Russian attacks on women and children, in addition to the military in Ukraine, there is no Ukraine funding in this agreement. Despite that, I did not believe we could let millions of Americans go through the pain of a government shutdown. And he also says, let's be clear. I hope my friends on the other side keep their word about support for Ukraine. They said they were going to support Ukraine in a separate vote. We cannot let, under any circumstance, let American support for Ukraine be interrupted. Here's what we know. Even though some Republicans said that yes, there could be a separate vote for funding for Ukraine, they know full well that would not go through the House of Representatives, which means even though there may be support in the Senate, there's not going to be enough support in the House. So the expectation is this. There is going to be funding for Ukraine. I do not know how much, but there will be funding. There will also be a push for stricter border policies. Okay, there's going to be money. There's probably some money for Social Security. There's going to be spending cuts. There's going to be a lot of different things coming up. And this is why experts are anticipating this next round of negotiations is going to be even harder, going to be more difficult, and they don't know if another bill will pass. So just bear with me as we get more information. I promise I'll fill you in on all the latest news and updates. Again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I will see you guys on the next one.